Polyp Works here, coming at you once again with One Piece, chapter 1099, one chapter away from 1100, entitled Pacifist. Now, the interesting thing about this chapter, in which you're going to see throughout, is there are a lot of Luffy-isms that spread both to Bonney, and there are some light Yamato references. Because the first thing that we see is a artist request of Oden getting his hair done by Tanukis. Oden immediately reminds me of Yamato, and then Tanukis remind me of Chomper. So it's just interesting, based on what's in this chapter, that the artist request is of Oden. Just thought that was very cool to point out. But our first Luffy-ism is, first of all, Bikior is back at the Sorbet Kingdom. He's burning it down because he's steady trying to get an audience with the Celestial Dragons. And in order to do that, he's following a plan that he heard about in the East, in which you burn the poor people, basically, and all you have left is just a beautiful kingdom, which of course he's talking about the Goa Kingdom, which is Luffy's kingdom, in which the Great Terminal was being burnt down because of the Goa King's wishes. So it's really interesting that what's happened in the Goa Kingdom is happening here in the Sorbet Kingdom. So I'm wondering, based on this, if it was intentional to show Doflamingo and Kuma at the same time back in the day, because everything that Kuma does is basically what Doflamingo did. It just has a benevolent tint to it, because he blows up Sorbet Castle. He retaliates against the king, like how Doflamingo framed the king of Dressrosa. However, the king of Dressrosa, King Riku, was a cool dude, whereas Bikior, or Bikori, I can never pronounce his name, he's a bit of a slime ball. So yeah, he Ursa shocks the whole castle, blows it up, and there is where he is crowned king. However, he does not accept the title as king and hands it over to the previous king, Bulldog. And here is where we find another Luffy-ism. Bonney has eaten the age fruit. And I will say, I did make a video about Kuma's Bible being the Devil Fruit Encyclopedia. There's a chance it could still be the original Devil Fruit Encyclopedia, but I find it very interesting that the Devil Fruit Encyclopedia appears in this chapter, because they find out by reading the encyclopedia, you can see an old geezer reading it here, that indeed Bonney has eaten the age fruit, which I like to point out, I guess before it was even a thing, before it was even officially named, I called it baby. But yes, Bonney has eaten the age fruit, and this is the first time we've seen her transform into an adult. Now, how this relates to Luffy is because Luffy too accidentally ate his devil fruit. And when he ate his devil fruit, the devil fruit itself was fact-checked by someone. I believe Lucky Roo either had a page from the Devil Fruit Encyclopedia pulled out and presented to the audience, or he had the book himself. I want to say it changes depending on where you are reading it or watching it. But like Bonney here, the fruit is referenced as if citing what it is from a book. So that is where the similarities lie there. Now, are the allegations high? Yes. But there's still some weird wiggle room as to what age she is actually in the story proper, because her official age in the pre-time skip is stated to be 22. I think at this moment in time, she's older than Luffy, because I forgot what age Luffy's supposed to be at this time. But I want to say she's older than Luffy and is probably as old as Ace was during the time of the Goa Kingdom burning the Great Terminal. But I'll have to look that up. Anyway, though, we meet the Queen Dowry, or the Queen Consort, Connie, who is Bulldog's mother. And here's another weird Luffyism. She's wearing the hat that Bonney will be known for wearing throughout the entirety of the series. So, seeing as how during a lot of the time in which Kuma is away, she spends so much time with Connie, it's reasonable to believe that she got the hat idea from Connie. This also clears up the nature of who Connie is, because of course, Bonney turns into Connie during the Levelly. But we see now, this started in where Connie and Bulldog visit Bonney and Kuma. And throughout this entire sequence of events, there's a gag going on in which everyone thinks that Bonney has become Connie, because Bonney is trying to turn into an old lady. So I guess it's just a gag that they both look alike. And when Bonney finally turns into Connie, the final scene in which Kuma tells Bonney that he's going to leave to find her a cure, he's holding up Connie as Bonney is looking at him distressed, saying, "You're leaving, but I'll be so lonely." That's so funny. This is a good sequence. It's a very good sequence. So, the paper is framing Kuma as the Tyrant King because Bikori is kind of upset, obviously, that he was pushed out of the country once again. First time was by the revolutionaries. The second time was by Kuma himself. And another interesting thing is that during the time in which he was pushed out, the castle that Kuma blew up has been rebuilt in sort of like a dome-like structure. So that's cool. That's cool. But Kuma goes out to sea to confront a Navy armada whom is housing Bikori, and he blows up the Navy armada, which crowns him a bounty. And the legend of the Tyrant Kuma gets spread far and wide. And the following scenes are, well, there's something, honestly. The following scenes are Kuma going around the globe in his very weird little dinghy that feels kind of reminiscent of that one ship that the Straw Hats had before the Mary. It reminds me of that. Or was it one of the buggy pirates that had it? It was really early One Piece. Before they got the Mary, they had like a weird little boat like this. But it's interesting, especially with that in mind, that he's going to all the places that he would eventually send the Straw Hats. He goes to the island of birds and cavemen that he sent Chomper, asking about the Sapphire Scale disease. He goes to Mihawk's Island for whatever reason. That's super weird. He meets Abdul and Jeet and blows them up. It's funny that they were active way back then, but yeah, they're bounty hunters. I forgot they were bounty hunters, but yeah, they're bounty hunters. Blows them up. He goes to Vegapunk's old town. I think it was Baltimore, the Snow Island. And that's where he sent Frankie. He sails under that bridge in which he sent Robin, which is another Odin-ism, because we see Odin sailed under the same bridge, I believe, when he was with Roger. So that's interesting. I don't know if that doles back into being a Luffyism, but I don't think it is. But yeah, he sails under that bridge. He visits Witheria. He visits Heracleson at the Boeing Archipelago. So he is going everywhere. I'm trying to think. The only place that he doesn't go is Kamabaka Queendom. Fascinating. He doesn't go to Kamabaka Queendom, and he doesn't go, or at least it doesn't seem like he goes, to that random island where he sent Brooke, where the occultists were, along with the Long Arm Tribe guys. So that place is missing, and then Kamabaka Queendom is missing. So that's super interesting. I think Kamabaka Queendom is a more interesting one because I don't know if it's been established yet. Because I am under the impression, based on a video I just made, that Ivankov completely constructed that island out of the shell of a kingdom that he took over. So we have to wait for confirmation on that. But yeah, go watch that video. But yeah, that's super interesting because I don't think anything else is missing. I don't think so. Yeah, everything else is here. Well, I guess Amazon Lily isn't here technically because Kuma did send Luffy to Amazon Lily, so that is missing as well. If you want to count that, which I wonder, how did he find out about Amazon Lily? Now that I think about it, where did he get the idea for that from? Yeah, so it's Amazon Lily, Brooks Island with the Long Arm Tribe, the Occultists, and then Kamabaka Queendom. Those are the three that are missing. But yeah, he meets up with Dragon, and he meets up with Bello Betty. And now Morley is a part of the Revolutionary Army. And this is the time in which Inazuma, which I think this is the first time Inazuma has been mentioned in this entire flashback, because we don't know where or when Ivankov meets Inazuma. But yeah, Ivankov and Inazuma have been captured and they've been sent to Impel Down. I would just like to reiterate, it's very interesting, like I mentioned in the Evil Ivankov video, that Morley only shows up as a member of the Revolutionary Army after Ivankov and Inazuma are sent to Impel Down. Very curious that he goes to Impel Down with the knowledge that 5.5 exists. Just saying, very curious. And this is where Bello Betty gets the title of Eastern Commander with Kuma's blessing. So at least Dragon had enough respect not to give away the position freely. That's kind of cool. The one Dragon W that we've seen in this entire flashback. And this is when Vegapunk is brought up by Dragon in saying that he was difficult to get to as he was held up on Punk Hazard, but after the incident that Caesar Clown caused, he is moving islands. So he's moving his base to Egghead Island at this point. So that is where Kuma gets the idea to go to Vegapunk. I still feel like this could have been mentioned way earlier, but okay. It was not. He says something very interesting, though. He says, "Go where the winds of fate take you, my friend," which feels like a Blackbeard-ism. Like, wind is an interesting phrase to bring up because it's often hypothesized that Dragon's powers, whatever they may be, have to do with wind. And he's also on this dragon ship, which I don't remember him having. Lapse of memory on my part. It is all black, which is also very interesting. I don't think this is the all black ship that causes the whirlpools. But yeah, this all black ship is interesting because I don't remember ever seeing it. And it's decaled with a dragon, which of course it is. Of course it is, because the Revolutionary Army symbol is a dragon because he loves himself. Dragon loves himself so much. But whatever. It's interesting we don't see the Jolly Roger, because that's what it is. We don't see, or excuse me, the Revolutionary Army symbol on the sails of the ship. And you may be saying, well, that would give it away. Well, the dragon figurehead would give things away too. But I digress. I'm getting too caught up. Let's move on. So, Bonney and Kuma go take a visit to Vegapunk. This is in the very early days of Egghead, where Egghead is still a winter island. No palm trees have been planted. I don't remember Lab 8. I at this time I can't recall what Lab 8 became. And this, of course, is before the satellites too, which is gonna line up with a short I'm making that'll probably appear later this month. But I hate the satellites aren't a thing right now, because that makes me kind of disgusted as to what could be going on in their creation based on who has visited Vegapunk's lab this time. So Kuma and Bonney visit Vegapunk's lab. Vegapunk still has his ginormous head. I think this is the biggest his head has been on record, because he's an old man here. He's got the white hair, the white mustache. His head is gigantic. So I guess this is right before the operation and right before the satellites. Can't wait to see how they are created. Can't wait. But yeah, we see a Centimaru here, a younger Centimaru. And I found out that Centimaru is 34, so he is 10 years older than what Bonnie's canonical age is supposed to be right now, which is 24. Because in the pre-time skip, it was 22. So I guess that matches up. Kinda. Because, don't know the math on this. That seems correct, though. This is also where Vegapunk wants to do tests on Kuma, and he finds out that Kuma is indeed a buccaneer. Now, if you recall, I believe it's Jinbei who says this. It was said that Kuma was a tyrant, went on the run, became a pirate, was captured by the world government, and that is when Vegapunk showed him grace, and then he became a dog of the world government. So that is most likely a false story propagated by the world government, spearheaded by Saturn to further besmirch Kuma's name, because we see now that is not what is going on. And might I say, Jinbei is the most ill-informed lad when it comes to Kuma. He knows very interesting race trade secrets like Sulong, but he just believes all the rumors about Kuma. Fascinating stuff. Anyway, he equates that this whole surgery that Bonney will be undergoing is the equivalency to building a cyborg. So we got a rundown on cyborgs being expensive to make. That's interesting. That's an interesting world building concept. But yeah, so he finds out he's a buccaneer, which inspires Vegapunk to go ahead with the whole clone project, in which he will clone a series of soldiers with super tough skin, and he aspires that they will shoot lasers and protect people. Of course, we know where this all ended up. Because of Garcia Saturn's influence, they became what they are today. But what's very funny is that the term pacifista comes from Kuma being a pacifist. And I believe Zach and I on the Roll Skull podcast, episode 17, talked about this. So we were both right in a way. He is a pacifist who was the blueprint to design a series of pacifists. But instead of the automatons being pacifists, they pacify. And this is also the first time I can recall that the pacifistas are referred to as actual clones. I thought they were just robots or like androids or something, akin to like Android 16 from Dragon Ball. But no, they are clones. So the implications of this are running kind of deep. Not only did Vegapunk revive a dead race in the Buccaneers, but he revived them just to be weapons. Seeing as how the pacifistas are legitimately buccaneers, which the wiki pointed that out, and I'm like, where did you get that from? But no, yeah, they are legitimately clones of Kuma, flesh and blood clones that are simply weapons. So yes, the Buccaneers sort of were culled back into being property of the world government, who seek and destroy their enemies. That is so dark, bruh. Oh my goodness. That is darker than black. Why? It just keeps getting worse. I want to put Vegapunk in the clear, but the eagerness to jump on this project is interesting. His morality is I won't call him evil yet. I want to see about these Vegapunk satellites, because York is ever the more interesting, given who we know at this point. But yeah, I'm not gonna call him evil, but he's certainly not good. He's very gray at this point, I'll say. He's very, very gray. Also, just wanted to point out, I like Bonney and Cinnamaro spending time here because it gives more reason as to why he went out his way to save her when she fell through the labo phase back in the present on Egghead Island. That's really cool. That's really cool. Even though I'm surprised she survived the grid shock, but whatever. No break next week, which is also very good. And with that, I believe that's all I have for you today. Very good chapter. I like that we're getting answers. I like that there was a whole explanation to that Connie thing, because that was a theory going around for years. We were thinking like, oh, is Bonney actually Kuma's mother and all that? So I'm glad that finally got ironed out. That's good. I like answers. Answers are good. But yeah, give me your thoughts.